So, Jim Chalmers today says that he supports the Queensland government's ridiculous idea, which no money, no planning, will never happen, that they will build 12 petrol stations in Brisbane to bring down the cost of petrol. This is utter, almost said it, rubbish. Like, it's such garbage, all right? Now, Michael, you know, this is a desperate government, fingernails being dragged through the streets, fascinating stuff about unions and cameras and all the rest of it, right? But as low-rent, desperate promises go, this is about as bad as it gets. But to hear the Treasurer back it in tells us everything about how they've got no idea what they're doing.
Mate, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say. I mean, when Miles said he was doing this for $36 million worth of borrowed money, I thought this guy's gone bonkers. He's completely lost the plot. Yep. He's had too much sun up there in Queensland. But then when Jim Chalmers put the credibility of his position on the line, meaning that's basically the position of the government.
Yeah.
So I suppose Peter Stefanovic, if he had over one again, do you support your Treasurer's view that the Queensland poor old taxpayer should put $36 million into petrol stations? It's just, if there was any doubt about Chalmers' credibility, this has totally destroyed his credibility. Let me simply say this. I know there's tens of thousands of viewers watching in Queensland tonight, so I say this to them. Put your hand up if you would like to invest any of your money in a petrol station run by Steven Miles. There are no hands up. Bank of Queensland, the head of the Bank of Queensland, would you like to ring him tomorrow and say we're on the hook for the 36 mil? I mean, mate, this is a preposterous idea. I'm reminded of the great 1971 business, the Burke's ACTU store in Melbourne, which is a store where Bob Hawke and the ACTU went into the retail business. They did some good early on in relation to busting a price cartel, but putting that aside, the ACTU thought they could run a retail business. You know what happened a few years later? It went bust. And the only advice I'd give to Steven Miles is this. Stephen, if you're proposing to go ahead with this preposterous idea, give John Howard a ring, because John Howard's father ran a petrol station, as did his grandfather. If anyone, and John used to work there as a boy, I think it was in Dulwich Hill in New South Wales. Yeah. Ring John. He'll tell you how hard it is to run a petrol station. Give him a ring, Stephen, because you have got no idea what you're doing. This is preposterous. And Jim Chalmers, shame on you.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, Chrysten, it's not going to happen. At this stage, the government doesn't look like it will be re-elected. There's no detail in and around it. But it takes the next level when, rather than, oh, I haven't read it, I haven't heard about it, sorry, I didn't know about that. Like, there's many ways they all bat it away. Instead, doubles down. Again, but also, what does the promise speak to about what the government thinks the expectation is that the voters have of them to fix every one of their problems and think there's no financial consequences to anything?
It's not every one of their problems. The government is causing this problem. And let's address the elephant in the room. We pay nearly 50 cents per litre on fuel in excise tax. That goes to the government. And can't Miles turn around and pick up his phone and call Chalmers and go, hey, maybe let's address the cost of living in a real way. Maybe let's reduce excise tax. Remove it, ideally, but let's reduce it, because that would actually do a lot more than the government starting up some petrol stations, taking a page out of Venezuela's playbook, going from prosperous to poor. And the government, everything the government touches turns to inflation. So don't you think that the petrol stations will do exactly that? It's ridiculous.